Hey everybody, welcome back to Gab's Dojo. And yeah, it has been a long time. I've got to say, man, this feels like ages since I've done this. So firstly, I apologise for the delay. Towards the back end of last year, was getting thrown a load of things that I had to deal with, both professionally and personally, some negative, some positive, but it basically meant I had to step away from doing this kind of thing and other things. But now that life is all settled, more in a relaxed state, I decided I'd be able to come back to this because it's something that I've always wanted to come back to. I never wanted to leave this series unfinished. So here we are. Class is back in session. I still reckon I lasted to watch Frozen 2 before picking Frost up. Interesting. So, last lesson I did was like on hitboxes and anti-airs. My word, that's a long time ago. Jeez. But anyway, moving on. So, this week we're going to be looking at resource management. Now, this is going to bleed quite a bit into a future topic, which is decision making, because they kind of go hand in hand. So when I talk about things here, you're gonna get a taste of what decision making will be in the weeks to come. But with that out of the way, let's get this started. I don't also expect this to be a very long lesson, unless there's just tons of questions that people throw my way. But we'll see how this goes. Okay. This has been a while. I'm gonna stick to my main so that I can be comfortable. And let's pick everyone's favorite character. Someone please pick a stage for me. Wuxi. Good choice.
Wuxi Dragon Portal.
Stick to my main, picks Jackie. Wuxi is my main. Jade sobbing somewhere. Right. Resource management. So now I don't play upgraded Yonsei. Never have. When we talk about resource management, not to be patronizing, but what is a resource? And basically in fighting games, resources is something that grants you an extra ability or changes properties to a move as such, for a cost. So resources in this game, generally we're looking at fatal blows, crushing blows, offensive meter and defensive meter. Now in this game, especially with meter, it's a bit weird compared to other fighters because, as you can see, when you spend a bar it automatically recharges. Normally in other fighting games like MKX, Street Fighter, when you spend a bar of meter, you have to do something in order to build it back, whether it's attacking the opponent or you getting hit by the opponent or doing special moves, etc. So because this game your meters always recharges, meter management doesn't have to be as strict or as stringent compared to those other games. But that does not mean that it's any less important. I mean, it's still necessary in order to play effectively and hopefully win. Yes, next gen Yonsei, good you're paying attention. So first point of order, gonna go through crushing blows, and I need to make a public service announcement regarding crushing blows. I believe this to be very important. and I strongly recommend everyone to do this. People might disagree, but I feel like it's very important if you want to improve as a player and get to the next level. If you really want to do that, this thing right here, Crushing Blows Held check, needs to be on. Now, what that basically means is when you fulfill the requirements for a Crushing Blow, you have to hold down the button in order for it to activate. So if you do like down 2, instead of just tapping down 2, you have to hold down the 2 for it to activate. If you have it off, it automatically activates as soon as the requirements are fulfilled. Now the reason why this is important is because if you want to be good at managing your resources, having it on helps you do that better. And just going to showcase an example what happens when you have it off. A couple of examples. So let me take over Scorpion, and let's set health at about 15% each. So we're at 15%. Actually, you know what? Let me set it on easy Crushing Blows as well, because I could record this legitimately, but that would take time. Let's just make this easy. You're at 15%. Let's say this is the scenario that you're in and you're close to winning the first round. So with Scorpion, let's say, actually let me turn this off. You're going to do the online special of down 1 into throw to win the round. Now we determined the 2% from the down 1 and then the 14% from the throw is enough to win the round. However, let's say in that scenario we threw Jackie before and she failed to tech, so she got an escape failed, which means our next Crushing Blow throw is now locked in and loaded. If we have Crushing Blows off, the held check off, when we go for the throw, it'll automatically trigger. Now you could say that you still won the round, and that's true, but then you ask yourself, did you really need to spend that resource in order to win the round? And if you didn't want to spend it, well, with the held check off, it's going to happen regardless. And the same thing can happen to Jackie if I switch over. If I take over Jackie and record Scorpion doing the exact same thing. Oh, of course, Crushing Blows on, that's why. Let's say as Jackie, I read that down 1 into throw, and I'm going to punish. I could punish with a normal down 2 to take a big chunk of health, but with these 2 Crushing Blows, I've spent that down 2 Crushing Blow, and yes, I won the round. But again, did I need to spend that bar or spend that resource? And in that scenario, probably not. Now, some people could argue and say that, well, I don't need to do that Crushing Blow, I can just do something else instead. Like maybe neutral duck into a combo, and I could win the round that way. And while that is true, I do feel like you shouldn't have to spend that mental energy into thinking about, my Crushing Blow is loaded, I don't want to use it now, let me think of something else in order to win the round, because you already use so much mental energy thinking about what the opponent's doing, what the opponent has, how the match has gone, let alone your own stuff. There's no need to add that extra bit, even if it's only for a few milliseconds or tenths of a second you're thinking about it. That's still time that could go to elsewhere. So with that, part of the PSA, have held check on. If you don't know your character's Crushing Blows, then by all means learn them, write them down, have them on the wall, read them daily, and just have it in the back of your head how to do them, because they'll be good for you in the long run, and it will definitely help your resource management to some extent doing this. Let me quickly catch up on the chat. I know Katana ones, it's like now 1% and it happens. Time to be KB Master, indeed you do. Can't wait for the lab stream. That'll be a fun one. Right, so let me get back to this. Let's get easy ball off. We don't want Scorpion doing stuff. I want him standing still. Right, so how can we help manage crushing blows? What's common with crushing blows? I've seen this so many times before. I'm going to put the easy one on just for ease. Is when you get your opportunity to do your crushing blow, that happens. And it's a shame, because it's like you spent the resource, yes I got the KB, now I'm going to do my big damage combo, and yep, that just happens. Breakaway, that's all she wrote. So when it comes to managing crushing blows, if you want to use it to its full potential, it does vary from character to character, you have to look into ways or figure out ways you can have control of when you can use it. So I'm going to take a specific example in this case. Turn this off. Miss Briggs has this. Probably my favourite crushing blow in the game, I'm not gonna lie. It's super good. I can actually do this all night, but I'm not going to do this all stream. One more for good luck. Anyway, so that dash punch KB is hits from that distance. 24% damage, sends in full screen. No, it's not super cheap, Lusty. It's fair and balanced, and does a good deal amount of damage. Now, even if I throw it out there, most jackies do when they're hovering around here, just throw it out and hope it hits. Problem with that though, it has its own risks. If you misspace it, not like that, but if you misspace it, you can get punished. If it's a high, your opponent can duck and then punish him with their own down 2 or their own combo. Of course, if it's blocked, it's their turn. So taking the risk of doing it like that, there's sometimes you wouldn't want to do that. So me personally, if I want to control Jackie's dash punch, I'll put myself in scenarios where I know it will guarantee to hit. So let's say Scorpion had used a bar of defensive meter or can't breakaway and I managed to land a hit, I would do a combo and end with dash punch in order to confirm it. Breakaway. I was thinking. This is why you should double check your settings. And I missed. And I missed again, because my execution's not right tonight. My day. Can I not hit this combo? It seems I can't. There we go. Took me long enough. So, that's an example. Another would be if we're in the corner and like maybe Scorpion's bar is recharging and is getting close to breaker, so there's enough time for him to break away, so I will lose out on the big damage corner combo. I might cut a combo short and then guarantee the dash punch in order to still get decent damage. This is not my night tonight. Okay, stop blocking Scorpion. There we go. There we go. Something like that. So in those two scenarios, the dash punch, crushing blow, I am able to more or less control when I can use it and guarantee you'll hit for that damage instead of seeing, you know, a KB hit and then they are breaking away. Wait, when does that KB happen? Which one? As in the one in the corner? Dash punch. Truth be told, supposedly the requirements is that it's got to hit from max range, but realistically it doesn't work like that. But I can explain that. Well, maybe after this lesson I'll explain how that works, or why it works in the corner when it shouldn't. Anyway, that is more or less crushing blows. So the next thing that I want to get into is offensive meter. So for this bit we're going to take over Hanzo. Actually, you know what, let me get you involved instead of me just talking to you guys all the time. What do you generally spend offensive bar on? Wasn't it after a punish? No, not after a punish. Dogen. Okay, special moves, up 3, so yep, special moves, wake ups. I guess you mainly use it for combos as well. Just a quick point of order, do many people spend 2 bars in a combo? No, right, wrong answer, just curious. Sorry, I better change your voice, nearly dropped my pad on the concrete floor. Roll escape is defensive bar, yes, not offensive. So, one of the most common things that I see is whether people should spend 1 bar or 2 bars for their combos. So get up attacks, yes. So if we take Scorpion and we take a basic combo, I don't even know if we're going to hit this now based on today's evidence. So that was 29% for 1 bar. Pretty decent. So if we decide to spend 2 bars for more or less the same combo, jeez, dropped it. So we're at 34%. So about a 5% difference for using both bars of meter. With some other combos that could maybe go up to about 6 or 7%, which isn't too bad. But the question is, what's the key differences between the two? So if you decide to spend 2 bars, yeah, you get more damage, more life lead. Maybe the positioning of the character will fit your game plan better. Maybe it's enough to win the round. But on the flip side, you can't no longer do any wake up attacks if you get hit, because you need a bar of offensive meter to do a wake up. Same with flawless block attacks. You need a bar of offensive, so you can't do that. And generally, if you manage to land another hit, you will take less damage. So after seeing those two combos and those two scenarios, question to the chat: which combo is better? The 29% for 1 bar or the 34% for the 2 bars? Curious to know what you think. Lusty says 29, Sneezy says 29. Anyone else with an opinion? It's okay, majority going 29, are we? Alright. Normally you would say, yeah, potentially spending 2 bar to 34 instead of spending 1 bar for the 29, and you could potentially get another hit for another 29, which is potentially better. But what if you're in this scenario where you're both at under 35%? Is the 29% combo still better? Do you give the chance of the opponent having a few percent life and making a comeback? Or would the 34% be better cashing it out in order to win the round? So people say, yeah, then you use 2 bars. Yeah, you use the 2 bars to win the round, but then you also have to bear in mind that when you do that, if you start round 2 or round 3, you have no offensive bar. So at that point, you also have to be careful what you do going forward at the start of the next round. If you're going to win the match, that doesn't matter, but at that point, it's also something to think about. And it's these kind of scenarios where I say it helps blend into decision making, because you might think you can hit the 29% and still get another hit and then win the round and then save that extra bar for something next. Who knows? Key point in resource management and decision making: anytime you make a decision or use a resource, it will have a consequence. Whether the consequences are good or bad, you won't know until the end of the match, I'm afraid. But it's something to bear in mind as you play and as you better manage your resources. Defensive bar is, well, self-explanatory. It's mainly used for wake-ups, mainly used to breakaways. But as I mentioned, if you use too much offensive bar, then you can't do wake-up attack. If the only thing you can do is use it for rolls, but as you know, when you knock someone down, rolls are punished by throws, or can be punished by well-timed normals. If I can actually time a normal, which I can't seem to do. My days, this is not a good night for me. There we go. Watermelon, am I late? I guess technically you are. Gone through a little bit. Snooze it. What do you think about using the KB outside of a combo to optimize the fact that it goes off? For example, using Sub-Zero's KB outside of a combo instead of at the end of one. If the scenario presents itself, by all means. Actually, Sub-Zero is a very good point. If you pay attention to a lot of the good Sub-Zeros, especially those who play Thin Ice, and I think Avalanche is the other one, but with the slide KB, they will do the first 2 as soon as they can, whether in a neutral or at the end of a combo. But when it comes to the 3rd one, a lot of the time Sub-Zero players will save that until they know that KB is going to be in a combo or is going to guarantee to win the round. There's been matches where I've seen, I think it was actually Buffalo, I saw in tournament once, that played Sub-Zero. First round he hit 2 amplified slides, so the third one was locked in for a crushing blow, and he did not use that crushing blow slide until the very end of the second round to win the match. Now he did use slides and stuff plenty of times, and in the round beforehand, in the time beforehand, but he never triggered it, and that's an example of resource management. So a lot depends on the scenario. Welcome back, thanks very much, Watermelon. And what was I talking about? Defensive bar. The other thing about defensive bar is you can use it for cancels. Whether to keep yourself safe or trick opponents like the Reborn Special. The problem with that is if you are using cancels, you have to bear in mind that if things go wrong, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So this might not go well, but we're going to give this a go anyway. I have faith in myself. We're going to set life at about 40%. As Scorpion, I'm going to record him doing... Switch Jackie, and I'm going to record Scorpion doing the online special.
Feel my pain.
I'm sure many people have been hit by that. Now, at the moment that he spends that bar, as you can see on the right hand side, that bar is gone. I know if I can react to the upcoming throw or beat out whatever button he's going to press, I can go for crushing blow damage because he has no breaker now, or I can go for a max damage combo or photo blow combo, etc. Because he no longer has breaker because he spent that bar to do the cancel. So that was 47%, 46% in order of me being able to read that and him spending that defensive bar and not being able to break away. Now, if he did like a normal teleport and then I landed a KB with 3-3, he would be able to break away and save himself. But because he did that cancel, that's unfortunately what led him to that unfortunate end. And that 40% health, that's cost him the match. Or cost him the round. Hey Gabriel, how's it going? So, when we're talking about defensive bar, you have to use it wisely just as much as your offensive bar, so you don't put yourself in scenarios like this. Last thing to go over, I think, is fatal blows, everyone's favourite mechanic. Could be better. Oh man, I don't want to hear sad things like that. Hopefully the night improves for you, mate. But I'm not too bad. Fatal blows, everyone's favourite mechanic. The best mechanic in the game. But it's on a serious note, I'm not going to go over how great it is or how bad it is or how dumb it is or how excellent it is. All I'll say about fatal blows is I only use them in 2 occasions. If it's going to close out a round or a match, or if it's going to be a momentum starter. Now what I mean by that is sometimes you need to swing the momentum, and fighting games generally is highly momentum based, especially offensive games. So you might be down in life, but you might hit the fatal blow just to give yourself a breather and rethink, have the Gao music playing in your head and then make that comeback. But the other thing about Fatal Blows is think about the game plan afterwards. So, with Jackies for example, all this happens. Now Scorpion wakes up essentially full screen. So what's my plan afterwards? Am I going to dash in when he gets up to close down the space? Or am I going to dash in twice to close down the space even faster and hope that he doesn't press a button to punish me? Or maybe I have the life lead and I want to keep people at bay, protect myself from projectiles or them having to come in through this, force them to make a mistake to close out a round. So with Fatal Blows, you don't do them for the sake of doing them. I know some people do, but if you do, think about what's your next steps afterwards in order to make sure you maintain the momentum. So yeah, general tips. Don't waste your meter essentially, even though it recharges, don't waste it. Don't sit on it either, because last thing you want to do is end a match with all meter or crushing blows or fatal blows stocked. You know what I mean? No one wants to do that. So I will definitely tell you to don't waste, don't sit, use your resources wisely, and make sure it fits your game plan. Like if you're a zoner, maybe you want to make sure that all your crushing blows and meter is spent on sending the opponent as far away as possible, so you can keep zoning. Or if you're a rushdown, maybe spending resources to keep your opponent close. What do I think of YOLO fatal blows? Well, they're in the game. You always have to respect the disrespect. That's something that a certain someone has taught me. Might not like them, but I'm going to come a little bit into that. A little bit. So, I think, is that it? Gone over crushing blows, gone over fatal blows, gone over offensive meter, gone over defensive meter. So that's all the resources that we have. Do you guys agree? Do you agree that we've covered everything? When using up 3. Interesting. Your life is also a potential resource. Okay, Snoozy, I'll bite. Where's your thinking going with that? You have difficulties with up 3. Difficulties in what sense? For example, when you want to do a fatal blow. That is true. I guess there's life you do have to consider. There's a certain combo that maybe happens to you that you realize, oh, I've got fatal blow locked in now for the big damage. Decision making. Okay. Sadly, Lusty, we are in resource management today, so that portion is specifically going to come later on in week's time. And you are armored, but you need the life to armor through it. Very true. That's a good point. That's a very good point, Snoozy Apple. But yes, up 3, I promise I will come to that. But that's a lesson in the future. But aside from that, do we all agree that's all the resources that we have? Life is brought up by Snoozy Apple. Offensive bar, defensive bar, fatal blows, crushing blows. Are we all good? Snoozy Apple thinks so. Lusty Girl thinks so. Okay. What if I was able to tell you that you are actually wrong? What if I said there is one more resource that is available to us, but a lot of us don't utilize as well as we can, or as well as we could do, including myself. I'm guilty of this myself, but I'm trying to be better with it. If I was to say that, would you be able to guess what that resource may be? Zoning. No. Spacing? Not quite. Had to duck out for a bit, Gabe. Where are we up to? Well, mystery resource, indeed. So basically, I've said that we've gone over defensive bar, fatal blows, defensive bar, fatal blows, and crushing blows. And asked whether we've covered all the resources. And I'm just letting you know that there's one more resource that we have that not a lot of us utilize. So I'm asking people to guess what it is. And so far we have got zoning, spacing, delayed wake up, and block button. All of them not exactly. I can give you a hint. Disrespect tokens. Can you say the first letter? I won't say the first letter, but I'll give you a fairly big hint. You can't see it right now, but whenever you play, it's always there. Gotta choose wisely when to disrespect. Missed the question though. What was it? Basically, Dogon, I'm asking what's the additional mystery resource that we all have but we don't use. Interactable is a fairly good one, and that is one to bear in mind because it does cost you a defensive bar, which means you can't break. Or if you use the attack version of some of them, it costs an offensive bar as well. Very expensive. But that's not what I'm thinking of either. This one is a free resource. You don't have to spend anything on it. Frame data. I don't know if we can access frame data in the middle of a match. Well, I suppose in between rounds you could, if you're very quick. No, not dashes. I can give you an even bigger hint, which is more or less will give it away. What do you normally see in between both life bars? But it's not present here. Timer. Indeed. Time is at the ping. No, not the ping. Time is a very important resource that we do not really use effectively. Some do. I try my best to, but it's not always that easy. But yes, time is a resource. Now, when you'd say time, normally most people probably think like clock management. Like if there's 15 seconds or 20 seconds left, you would do some cheese tactics in order to delay the game in order for you to win by timeout. But that's not exactly what I'm talking about. For those who are really paying attention, I don't expect you to remember. When I started summarizing the end of the lesson, I did 2 combos. One standard B&B and one into a fatal blow. Can you approximately guess how long each combo lasts in seconds? If you even remember what they look like. And this was done deliberately to see who was paying attention. I'm legit gonna guess that no one's gonna guess because I probably don't remember. But to move things on, basic B&B is Jackie. Actually, that's not even the one I do. So, that general combo lasts approximately 6 seconds. Now 6 seconds is a fair amount of time in a fighting game. That's a fair amount of time to do things, but then you can ask what you can do with it. Question point. Actually, not even a point. Just from the chat, because everyone has experienced this. When this happens to you, you get hit by a fatal blow. What do you guys think about at this time? I don't mind what answers I get. Could be embarrassing ones, could be crazy ones. I'm intrigued to know, what do you think about when this happens? And it doesn't matter whether it's going to end a round or end a match, or if it's just in the match. Just, yeah, what generally goes through your mind? I think my life. Anyone else? So much damage, how can I still win this? I even feel guilty whenever I do it. I never feel guilty. Part of the game. I'm getting mad and I keep spamming X. Okay. Now this, I counted this quite a few times. This whole sequence lasts 17 seconds. Especially when it comes into a combo. When you combo into it, it lasts 17 seconds. That's an eternity in a fighting game. An eternity of time to do things. Now think about it this way. Even in the combo that I did before that lasted 6 seconds. Ask yourself to just quickly look at your health bar, your opponent's health bar, your opponent's meter gauges, and your own meter gauges. How long did that take for you to just have a look to see how much is of each? So the 2 life bars and the 2 sets of meters. Ideally, it shouldn't take you that long, but never look at the timer. Now the timer thing you have to be aware for. What I'm mainly talking about is time where you can't actually do anything can be spent doing things in order to help yourself in a match. So like for example the basic combo I did, well I say basic, the bread and butter combo I did as Jackie, that took 6 seconds. In that time you could probably look at, if you can't break away of course, you could probably look at the amount of life you have, the amount of life your opponent have, but then you can also gauge at what meter you have and what meter they have. As in, do you have enough to do a wake up and a follow up? Did they keep a bar so that if they hit you again they could do more big damage, or did they use both their bars so that you know if you get hit again you're not going to take that much damage? If they have no defensive meter, if you manage to get hit and knock them down, they won't be able to wake up, and then you can turn the tide in your favor. Similar thing, and when you get hit by the fatal blow, when you have like over 10 seconds to do things, 15 seconds to do things, oh, maybe some 20 seconds if it's a very long combo. I know the meters disappear in the cinematics, we don't have to worry about the meters, but there's more than enough time to look at your life, look at your opponent's life. You can think about the crush and blows you've already used and what ones you have left. If you know your opponent's character very well, you can think about the crush and blows they have used, what they've got locked and what they have left. You can think about okay, now that I've been hit with this, what can I do in my game plan in order to turn this match around? Figure out your next move in order to turn the match in your favor. You can even gauge whether you should do something risky, depending on your positioning. If the person is up close, can you just do a wake up 2 in order to start things off? Do you roll any follow-up attacks? I mean, there's plenty of things you can think about. Now, I'm not saying you should think about all these things as this fatal blow happens, but I would say when you get hit by a fatal blow, this is what I would suggest to do. I never give homework, but I would suggest next time you get hit by a fatal blow, spend 3 to 5 seconds getting your rage and your salt and your depression out. Only 3 to 5 seconds, maximum 5 seconds. You spend that time getting all those feelings out. Once that's done, it's in the past, it's done, you can't do anything about it. You spend the remaining time looking at your life bar, or thinking about your next move, or thinking about the crushing blows you have and what you still can use. But I said, it doesn't have to be all of them. It can literally just be one of them. Like, you look at the life bar and then maybe look at the meter, or you look at the life bar and then think, what's your next move going to be, from what resources you have. Who has the shortest fatal blow? That's actually a good question. I don't actually know, because all of them last a fair amount of time, like between the 10 to 15 second mark raw. So but yeah, this is what I mean by using time as a resource. It's not easy to do. It's very easy to get distracted by things that, you know, when you get hit by a fatal blow, and just, you can admire the animations, see the detail of the blood, look at details around the stage and see what's pretty and what's not. You know, there's a lot of things that you can do, but it's just to bear in mind that when you have time available to yourself, instead of just wasting it, you can put it forward to something new. I even forgot to mention this, you can even think about what your opponent has done in the match. Is there any patterns that you can pick up on that might help you do that might help you to deal with the follow-up? And yes, Gabriel, we don't see the bars when the fatal blow is active. You only just see the life bar. The resources go away. I'm too busy with eye rolling. Well, that's the thing. So next time, when you get hit by the fatal blow, you do your eye roll, but only do it for 5 seconds. After the 5 seconds are done, I want you to like pay attention to the life situation. So what's going to happen at the end of the fatal blow, whether you're going to be close, whether you still got a big life lead, whether they have a big life lead, whatever. And then think about what your next move's going to be. Because it's that kind of thought process. Once you start getting used to doing that, just for 1 or 2 things, eventually you'll be able to think about more things as time goes on and when you get experience with it. Then I scream when I have 1 HP. Well, do you know what it means? It means you have a magic pixel, which means you have life, which means you're not going to lose. It means the opponent is going to get wrecked. That's what it means. Swing momentum in your favor. Imagine us doing a hella quick eye roll. But again, what I say, it's not easy, especially when you're not used to doing it. Same thing happens when, like, you do ranked and a person does a fatality on you after the first game. That's a lot of time, and yeah, it might make you salty that they've done a fatal. It's like, why are you doing it after game 1? This, that and the other. Even if they teabag into a fatality, You can be salty for a few seconds, sure, but then afterwards, you can start thinking, okay, what did I do in that match that made me lose? Or is there anything that the opponent is doing that I need to pick up on? Like if the Scorpion is doing this all the time, you know, is there anything that you can do that could to stop that from happening? Or maybe not. But the point is, in terms of trying to get improved, trying to become a better player, these are some of the things you have to think about. See, this is why I explain that resource management bleeds so heavily into decision making, because the decisions you make relates to the resources that you plan to use, and the way you use those resources will affect the consequences of the match as it goes. So with that, just as a summary, basically we've gone over resources, crushing blows, fatal blows, defensive bar, and time, as I said. Hopefully the tips will help. I mean, they do vary from character to character, but ideally picking up a few things here and there, so like just bearing in mind your bar when you use it, bear in mind when you use your crushing blows, you know, what you've used, how you got left. Hell check on, that's important. Hell check on, learn your KBs and have that on. We don't want any wasted KBs. And yeah, utilize time when you got the chance. Isn't throw a resource? Technically no, because it's part of your moveset. When I say resource, usually it's something that you're granted with that gives you a cost, or that requires a cost. You know, spend something to get something. But with that, that is the end of the lesson. For those tuning in, I appreciate you tuning in. It's good to be back. It feels like it's been a long time since I've done this. Next lesson is, oh man, next lesson. Oh dear. Sorry, I just realized what it is. Next lesson is important, but it's going to be hella boring, because I'm going to have to be just basically talking to you for a period of time. But essentially we're going to be going over how to use training mode. Now I know you see me use it in lessons, but in this specific case I'm going to be going through the options that you have in each setting. Ideally you only really need to know these two, AI options and practice options. Move list a little bit I'll go into, but these are the main three that are going to be going over. And yeah, that's not going to be fun, but if you do want to get better, training mode needs to be your spouse, needs to be your lover, needs to be your best friend, needs to be the greatest of all time in order to improve, because it gives you all the, like 99% of the resources you need in order to improve. But in order to do that, you need to know how to use it, and not many people know how to use it effectively. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next lesson, which I will let you know when that is. For those watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, all that stuff. I actually need to get better at promoting myself than just doing that. But I hope the lesson is worthwhile. Any questions, just leave it in the comments and I will catch you next time. Take care and peace.